Hello everybody, I'm Bede, aka The Terrible Australian, and welcome to the third edition of my November Blog-A-Thon video reviews. Now, if you've seen my last two video reviews, I've already covered so far films that were recommended to me by both Mike and AJ. So for this third video review, I am going to be doing Sam's pick. So the film that Sam recommended me to watch as part of the Blog-A-Thon is the 1993 comedy Matinee, starring John Goodman and so directed by Joe Dante. Okay, let's get right into it. Matinee. Set during the early 1960s, the film tells the story of a young boy by the name of Gene Loomis, who in the film is played by Simon Fenton, who has recently just moved to the small coastal town of Key West with both his parents and younger brother to live on the local military base. And the reason for that is Gene's dad works in the Navy. And Gene's hasn't really got a lot of friends. He hasn't made friends with anyone at the school. But the one thing that he does like to do is go to the local cinema with his younger brother Dennis to go check out monster movies, because that's one of the things that they love doing. And Gene's favorite type of monster films are the ones that are made by a director by the name of Lawrence Woosley, who in the film is played wonderfully by John Goodman. One day Gene finds out that Lawrence Woosley is actually coming to the town of Key West to premiere his brand new monster film Mant, which the film within a film is actually about a guy, due to a nuclear explosion, becomes a human ant, and Gene's absolutely excited by this. Although his excitement short-lived a bit when he soon discovers on the news that they have discovered that the Soviet has been sending nuclear missiles to Cuba. So of course the movie is, as you can guess, is actually set during the few days of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And everyone in the small town is absolutely terrified by the prospect of nuclear war. And Gene's dad gets called in, and he has to go with the Navy to try to stop the Soviets from taking the missiles to Cuba. While all this is going on, director Lawrence Woosley sees the whole Cuban Missile Crisis as great publicity for his film. So once he gets to the small town, he organizes to bring people to come see his film. And eventually both Gene and Woosley's lives collide when Gene meets Woosley. He asks if he could actually help out with the film's premiere, and Woosley basically sort of takes him under his wing. And that's pretty much the basic setup of Matinee. Now you're probably wondering what I actually did think of the film. I can definitely say without a doubt that I absolutely loved this film. I thought it was such a great time, and I really enjoyed it from beginning to end. And it was such a great choice from Sam to get to me, because this is a film I've been wanting to see for a very long time, in fact. And I remember hearing about it when I was a kid, and I thought it sounded pretty cool. But I never was able to check it out until recently as part of this Blog-A-Thon. It's such a great film. And it's sort of a combination of different things that I love. It sort of has the coming age story of Gene, sort of him growing up in this small town where he doesn't know anybody, he doesn't have any friends, and eventually during the course of the film he starts to get friends because of his expert knowledge in monster films. And as well, he meets a girl who could eventually be his first girlfriend. And of course you got the film aspect of the story with the character of Lawrence Woosley, who is a complete utter showman. He is a person who loves movies, but not just making films themselves, but also for the fact he wants the audience to have an experience while watching this film. Well, I should say that the character of Lawrence Woosley is actually loosely based on real-life horror director William Castle. And if you don't know who William Castle was a horror director who made a lot of famous horror films. Like, he made the original versions of The House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts, and a few others. But despite making the films, he also had a bit of a shtick where he wanted the audience to be interactive with the films, and he would come up with these really hilarious ideas to freak the audience out. For example, for one of his films, he actually, all the seats in the cinema, he actually put a device within the chairs so that any time that during the film a scary moment happened, the device would actually electrify the chair and freak the audience out. Woosley does very similar things like that in the film, but there are times where even he puts William Castle to shame, because he just completely goes all out when it comes to scaring the audience in more ways than one. And it's a lot of fun just to see him getting the audience involved with his film. And also the film is very nostalgic as well, and it also captures the time period perfectly. And also even the sort of the scenes with Jean and sort of him going to school, all that stuff actually rang true to me, because there were a few times where what happens to him in the film I could actually relate to, and Joe Dante actually just gets that whole sort of childhood experience around that age perfectly, and it felt very real and authentic to me. And even though like my childhood wasn't exactly like Jean's, but at the same time, just certain aspects just rang true to me. And I think also setting it around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis actually gives the film a lot of weight to it, because you can sense how these characters are absolutely terrified that the world could possibly end, and you can definitely sort of feel that fear and confusion and uncertainty, and it really adds a lot to the film. And they also play it up as well so that it's played for laughs, and Joe Dante just does that perfect. He gets the tone just perfect for this film. His direction is fantastic, I have to say, and also the screenplay is beautifully well written, and also the supporting cast do a really good job as well. And one of the standouts for me, it was Cappy Moriarty, who plays Woosley's girlfriend slash leading lady, and I really enjoyed her performance. I thought she was a lot of fun. And also you get sort of being a Joe Dante film, of course, you get a couple of cool cameos. Dick Miller, who's been pretty much in every Joe Dante film, shows up once again, and also John Sayles, who wrote Joe Dante's films Piranha and The Howling, has an appearance as well. Robert Picardo also shows up as well, and there's also an actual really cool blink or you might miss her appearance from Australian actress Naomi Watts, who actually made her US film debut in this film. Keep a lookout for her, because she's actually plays a character within one of the films within the film, and it was actually cool to see her. She's only in the movie for a few seconds, but definitely keep a lookout for her. Because in terms of negatives, I don't really have much. There are a couple of things that did bug me a bit about the film. There's a subplot which involves one of Jean's new friends who is trying to begin a relationship with the most popular girl at the school they go to, and eventually once he actually starts dating her, things sort of get a bit complicated when her ex, older, tough guy boyfriend gets out of juvie and basically tells Jean's friend that if you keep dating this girl, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, basically. And I thought that whole subplot didn't really add much to the film. I thought, like, it didn't ruin the film for me at all. I just didn't feel like it really add anything much to the film. Well, at least, but at the same time, it does add something to the film in a way, because the ex-boyfriend actually becomes a key element for the last half of the film, which I won't give away why that is. But other than that aspect, but the actual subplot itself didn't really work that much for me. I kind of wish that Dante worked on that a little bit more, so it would have been a bit more satisfying. And also, there's something that happens towards the end of the film which I found a little bit over the top. Like, even though it actually is set up earlier in the film, so it's not something that just, happens all of a sudden. But when it actually came about, I just thought it just came a little bit too silly and a little bit over the top. But it didn't ruin the movie for me at all, and I actually still had fun with it regardless of my problems with it. Also, before I forget, there was one aspect of the film that I really enjoyed, and that was the sort of the film within the film, Mant. And I have to say, Joe Dante did a really good job with that, with this film within a film as well, because it really captures both the tone, the look, the feel, and as well as the filmmaking style of B-movie horror films at that time. And I thought he did a really good job at that. And it's also quite funny as well, because it's very tongue-in-cheek. There's a lot of hilarious moments, and it was just good to see Joe Dante play with those sort of B horror movie conventions. I thought he did a really good job with that little short, just as well as he did a really great job with the actual full film itself. So overall, Matinee is a really great film. I highly recommend everyone to check it out. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it without a doubt. Especially if you're a big fan of Joe Dante and you enjoy his films. To me, this is a film that definitely needs to be seen. And it's kind of a shame that it's been completely forgotten about. So that's why I'm urging everyone right now to, after you watch this review, go out and find it and watch it right away. And believe me, you won't regret it at all. And hopefully you'll love it as much as I did. And I do want to thank Sam again for sending this film to me. It was a great choice, Sam, and I really, really enjoyed it. And if I had to give the film a rating, I would give it a very high 4.5 stars out of 5. I really enjoyed it that much. Well, that's the end of my Blog-A-Thon video reviews. Keep a lookout very soon for my 4th and final edition of my video reviews, in which I'll be reviewing Super Marcy's pick for me, which is the film M. Butterfly, directed by David Cronenberg. So keep a lookout for that, and I'll see you all later. Bye.